Bungie used to be good. They used to make fun games. They used to be a pretty decent studio all around. But nowadays, there is honestly no downfall, no death in the AAA gaming industry more deserved than Bungie. For the last 10 plus years, Bungie has brutally, painfully mismanaged absolutely every game that they have made, every game that they have maintained, and everything that they have tried. Destiny, the move to Destiny 2, the absolute state of disrepair and disregard in Destiny 2. They're literally getting sued for stealing some guy's Twitter green post storyline, and they can't even prove it's not real because they deleted the part of the game that's supposed to be the thing that they're getting sued about. That is just pure madness. It is really just pure and utter madness. Destiny 2 in general is an absolute failure. The new player experience for Destiny 2 is the equivalent of the game just constantly yelling at you, please delete me. And I'm not joking. It doesn't tell you the controls. It doesn't tell you about any system in the game. It doesn't tell you what to do. And it bugs out. It soft locks you to not being able to finish the tutorial sometimes even. And then you need to figure out the solution and look it up online. And that bug has been in the game for 3+ years at this point or something like that. No, 2 years. It's absolute insanity. It tells you that you got a resource that you can't even see because you haven't unlocked the end game thing that it's supposed to be used for. It is just painful. And now we have Marathon. Oh my lord, Marathon, okay? A non-binary, complete disgusting disgrace of a joke that is called a game. And the best part, it's not even original. Turns out Bungie, who would have expected that a company with a long list of proven stealing accusations when it comes to art and concepts, by the way, would have stole pretty much the whole identity of Marathon from someone. Yeah, because they did. All of the art, all of the choices in Marathon, which are horrible, by the way, were pretty much stolen from other people. This is hilarious. This is absolutely the stupidest thing ever. And you know what's the best part about all of this? The fact that Bungie is a political ideology pushing first, gaming second studio. And it's one of the most ironic things in the modern landscape of politics in gaming, from, the woke side of the aisle, is the fact that for some reason everything needs to be non-binary, okay? Or something close to that, okay? Women that look like men and men that look like women, and, androgynous, almost rebus tier human existences, but not really rebus, more just androgynous, more of that, honestly. And no one likes it. Even the crowd that they are trying to appease, despite there existing literally 70 genders for these people, the funny part is they don't even want that. Because it doesn't matter which of the 70 plus genders you choose from, there's going to always be a preference to look male or female, not a literal in between needs gender reveal party every time you play the game type of deal. It's just Bungie is an all-around failure. There's no bright, there's no brightness at the end of the tunnel. Okay, there's no silver lining at the end of the clouds. There's nothing. Bungie deserves to shut down so hard it's not even funny.
Well guys, it is a dark day for Bungie as a studio, and it shows just how far they've fallen since the Halo days. I have covered for years the things Bungie has done to its co-workers and players, both in terms of laying off veteran staff that were integral to the studio's success, and the only reason why that staff was fired was because their stock was about to mature, and Bungie as a company would have had to pay them more if they decided to retire.
That was funny.
Retire. And there was even Bungie staff that found out they were fired as during the work from home era, they couldn't log into their accounts anymore. It truly was horrible. For even longer, I've covered that major corporations, regardless of who they are, whether it be Sony or Microsoft, they only see their audience as dollar signs and will do anything if it means more profit. The worst part is they'll even do it at the detriment of the games their studios create. Now, Bungie was purchased by Sony for over $3 billion, and it's safe to say they're probably regretting their investment as both games Bungie is currently supporting isn't doing well. The primary reason for that, and it's what we're covering today, is
Um, to be fair, they didn't actually buy this. This headline is misleading. If you don't know, this is what actually happened. Sony looked at Bungie because Bungie was struggling because, again, a decades long mismanagement of choices and stupid decision making kind of leads to close to bankruptcy most of the time. And Sony was like, yeah, we could take over Bungie for, half the actual market price. And they offered Bungie a very simple deal. You take this almost $4 billion Enos, and you can do with them whatever the fuck you want. But we want a return, and here's the conditions for the return. It's gonna be this amount of cash per year in profits, no negotiations, no nothing. And if you do not deliver, we take over your company. Yeah, that was the deal. It literally was a Trojan horse, okay? Sony, they do stupid things, but when it comes to situations like this, they are smart. They're not gonna just give Bungie $4 billion to crawl out of a ditch and not gain anything in return. No, they know that whatever deal Bungie agrees to, they're not gonna be fiscally able to recuperate what Sony wants them to do, and they're gonna take over. And then that's exactly what has happened.
greed. The greed of the executives at Bungie is straight up killing the studio, and I can't be any more blunt than that. From shady business practices to the CEO of Bungie having absolutely zero regard for the employees beneath him. It is seriously one of the saddest stories I've ever had to cover. It's got
Okay, listen, I don't agree with this. Because, simply put, there are no decent people left at Bungie. There's not a single talented person at Bungie. There's not even a single decent, normal human being left at Bungie. So all of these people who get fired, who get mistreated in Bungie, they honestly kind of deserve it. There, I said it.
gotten so bad, in fact, that now current and former Bungie employees are starting to share their experiences of being scolded and spoken down to. They've even discussed.
And this is arguably not even true, because again, the people that are left in this company are people who think that the word no is an aggressive attack against them. So, all of these things of bad things happening at Bungie, cry me a river. I don't believe it.
Horrible suggested
These people cry wolf way, way too much.
changes to the games, and it makes you think, how did Bungie even survive this long as a studio? It echoes the statements I said in last video, where I literally said Bungie leadership has been ignoring warnings for years about what would and wouldn't work in regards to Marathon. These key game aspects, these concerns that were cited by the developers were ignored, and then the alpha rolls around and oh, would you look at that, Bungie leadership, people have problems with what's been made. You cannot brute force your way into telling people what to like, and that's something that is going to become very evident once we cover everything today. I also have to say, and it's very important, for employees at Bungie to feel so strongly about speaking out against powerful industry individuals, it says volumes as to how bad things have gotten. So let's break it all down and what it means for Bungie as a studio. First up today, and I feel like this was a good way to frame the video of just how bad Bungie leadership has gotten, we've got the following quote. As a former Bungie employee who worked on Marathon, I feel for those still at the studio. Working with engineering / Marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating. I won't speak about the rest, but Bungie leadership needs to be gutted completely. Toxic and humiliating.
No. This is a lie. I'm sure the Bungie leadership is, by the way, dreadful. There's no doubt about that, right? But this is most likely a complete cope and a lie. These people who work at Bungie now are just people without spines. They can't take accountability. They can't understand that they are employees and they're supposed to do what they are told. They don't understand that they don't have the right to choose whatever the hell happens in this game. And the leadership was not the one that made Marathon this bad. It was the people at the bottom who made Marathon, for example, this bad. This is how things actually work in these big companies. Yes, the top of the ladder gets to say, yes, this is what we're going to do, and blah, blah, blah. But trust me when I say this, Bobby Big D Original Invert Kotick did not make World of Warcraft's dungeons bad. He did not make all of the systems you interact with boring, mundane, and plain and lame. No, he's just the guy who said, "Wait, we can we should probably sell another $100 mount here because we kind of can, right? And we can make some money." That's what he did. He didn't ruin the game. The people at the bottom are the ones who make those decisions. Which skill works like that? No one at the top is signing off on any of those things. Maybe a department head. Well, not even a department head. But it depends on the size. Maybe then a department head is going to actually like check off it. Yes, I agree. Disability should be like that. But mostly it's not when the big companies like this. Okay? These people ruined the game. Not the people at the top. Make no mistake.
Is horrible words to see in regards to how employees are treated, and sadly, it's what I've also heard from my contacts at the studio. I waited a few days before making this video as I wanted to do my due diligence as usual, but I actually had Bungie employees reach out to me after my last video. They saw that Charlie, Moist Critical, featured bits of my video in his own video, so shout out to Moist, and they wanted to reiterate to me that Remy, things have been like this for a while at the studio, and only now are people seeing the true ramifications of the decisions made by leadership for years. By the way, I gotta say, these employees are huge Halo fans, and over the years, they've always sent me nice little messages saying, "Remy, thank you for always posting Halo stuff. We love what you do." That's why there are some tie-ins to Halo that we saw in the Marathon Alpha. They grew up with the Bungie Halo games like many of us did over the years, which is really awesome. It's really sad to hear how bad the culture is over there, and today, it's honestly the worst it's ever been, and in part, it's because of how Marathon has been received. Not only are you spoken down to for years on end, but also you're working on that project for years, and you know in your heart that players aren't going to like certain things. On top of that, you tell the said executives that players aren't going to like this, and yet you're told to do it anyway. It's tone deaf, frankly, and Bungie leadership, they need to go. Now, as I said before, it takes a lot of courage to come out as an individual employee, put your reputation on the line, and speak out about a major studio. The reason why I say that is the initial post on LinkedIn has been taken down, which makes me think the poor guy was threatened with legal action in regards to making a public comment. Another reason why I feel this video is so important. In saying that, the official post continued on to say, and this is in regard to the layoffs that happened that had people furious with Bungie leadership, "It was on our minds since the last layoffs of October 2023. We asked Pete, that's the CEO executive, and his response was that it was a lever he would pull again. They need to flush out leadership completely. My team was excellent, but it felt like everything else prevented us from doing."
My team was excellent. Says the company that has no good games. You see what I mean? And by the way, these people got fired. These people probably know they're on the chopping block. You can easily bet and assume that these people are not going to have the most, neutral words to speak about their situation. They're going to be like, I'm the victim, Bungie is the bad guy. Keep in mind this: people who get fired always speak ill of the companies they got fired from. It's never also their fault that they got fired. Obviously, they did a good job. Again, said the company that has literally no good games.
Doing anything meaningful. So, Mr. CEO Pete, who owns 20 cars, spending millions on them, said he's happy to gut further employees if the executives deem it necessary. This guy is a nasty piece of work. He doesn't care at all about his employees, he doesn't care about the players. I really think he only cares about himself. I so hope this video gets shown to as many people as possible, because this guy is a plague to the...
I mean, yeah, but what do you want him to honestly do also at this point? Open up a fucking orphanage?
entire video game landscape. That quote I just read, however, again reiterated and confirmed my belief that at a day-to-day worker level, many talented teams and developers are committed to creating good games. It's the ones in charge that mandate stupid rules that seem to be tainting everything they touch. Now, in saying that, and what further makes my case, I've repeatedly spoken about my fears of the use of AI, and furthermore, the use of AI completely replacing developers, as it seems like this is becoming more and more common. The article followed on to say that repeated layoffs have only pushed the studio to rely more on contractors and even AI, making things even more difficult for full-time staff. So when I hear they laid off another round of my talented colleagues and friends, I feel angry. They're not at fault. They're not the ones who
They're not talented. Bungie has no talent left. Same like Obsidian, same like BioWare, same like Blizzard.
need to be canned, and every round only strengthens their reliance on contractors and AI. No joke. This makes me furious because I knew when big companies said they're going to be integrating AI, the executives won't see it as a tool. They'll see it as a way to make talented artists obsolete. Just another brand new way to cut costs. I swear, it is their whole view on how they see video games that is the problem. As far as I'm concerned, they are not gamers. And it follows on to what I read next about Destiny 2. The executives at Bungie wanted to change Destiny 2 to be a subscription-based game so you pay a fee monthly. This was received so poorly by the day-to-day developers, they all unanimously came together against the high-ups and said, you will literally kill your game if you do this.
Okay, let me explain the situation because I knew he's gonna say that. Okay, it was written in the stars above, and I could see it goddamn clearly. So there's an issue here. You need to understand at the time scale that we're talking about here. This is, yeah, we do this, or Sony takes over, and if Sony takes over, guess what? The CEO's fired. The people under the CEO are fired, and most of the people are also fired. That's it. Bungie's bad decision making was in part led about the fact that the CEO wanted to be in charge, wanted to still be the head honcho of Bungie and all of that stuff. It's true. It's selfish, but that's just how it is. And if he needs to fire a couple of people to do it, he probably will. Because guess what? Again, if Sony comes in, they're firing everyone. Okay? Because there's no talent at Bungie. They're firing fucking everyone, okay? Starting with the CEO, ending with the floor mopper. Everyone's getting hit.
The fact that it got to the point where it was highly considered being implemented says there's literally nothing off the table in regards to lines being crossed. Following on from that, it even came out that because some pretty armor was released and you could just earn that armor by playing the game, not paying, the executives again cracked a tantrum. They said they weren't happy with the armor, citing that because the armor looked good, they thought it would take away from the amount of microtransactions they would be selling on their game. One set of free armor. Let me just say,
Yes, that's how these things work.
for the record,
True. Yes, every game does this. Bungie's not even unique.
Bungie executives do not care about their players, they don't even care about their developers, they just want to milk money, and it's pathetic. For years, players have known that it seems like microtransactions get pushed heavily on Destiny 2. This more or less confirms people's fears of just how bad things are. I literally have a series coming up where I was going to be a new beginner player on Destiny 2, finding my way through the game. I'm rethinking even playing Destiny 2, and at the very least, I won't be spending a cent on the game in regards to microtransactions. I'll even go as far to say, if you are a Destiny 2 player, vote with your wallets here. The executives clearly don't have your best interest at heart. They don't even have the best interest at heart of their developers. Now, you would think after all of that, it couldn't possibly get any worse, but I want to leave you guys with this and make this the exclamation point. It really hammers the point home of just how petty the leadership is at Bungie, and it was the following comment made by ex-Bungie developer Leanna Ruppert, and it's in regards to Destiny 2's Lightfall DLC. It sucks that leadership wanted it to fail. There were so many elements of Lightfall that could have been monumental had the teams been properly supported. You pair that comment with Bungie leadership repeatedly
Just let me Google something. Liana Rupert. Look at this. Let's see. Okay. Community and marketing senior, Oval Labs, marketing, blah, 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 VR games. The CM for Vox, CM, blah, 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 engine more. Let's click for business inquiries. No, that's not what I want to see here. Hmm. Well, you can't see any pronouns in the bio, honestly. Seattle, VA. Uh, Previously duty CM accessibility lead at Bungie Games. Okay, let's see what she's cooking here. I can't. Well, she is purple haired and whatnot. So I really wondered. Let's see if there's a Blue Skies account. Oh, there is no Blue Skies account. Oh, she has a YouTube channel based. Let's see. Let's see what's cooking. Oh, I have no idea what this is. Nah, she actually does not seem like a Vogue lunatic. She just has hair color that's kind of dangerous. Okay. Well, maybe I was wrong. But again, this thing right here, right here, considering she worked on fucking Lightfall, the most gayest expansion in Destiny, the the expansion's point literally was to be gay, by the way. Make no mistake. That was the point of the whole expansion, as hilarious as that is. So the fact that she worked on Lightfall out of all of the shit in the world doesn't sound good, Chief, not gonna lie.
Been properly supported. You pair that comment with Bungie leadership repeatedly failing to listen to concerns in regards to the marathon development behind the scenes, their egos are so large that they would rather the game fail completely than to actually listen to the feedback and admit they're wrong. And more than that, the thing should be different. They were willing to let a whole Destiny 2 DLC fail and purposely did not support the teams making their games. Then you have Marathon, the next game, and they refuse to listen to the developers' key critical feedback. Like, this is so bad, it's outside the realm of logic and reason. You cannot even begin to rationalize with these people, as it's so ludicrous that the people in power are like this at all. I'm very happy that so many people are covering this whole situation, and I'm proud of the Bungie employees for coming out to show just how bad things are behind the scenes, but this is really bad. With everything that's happened in the past few weeks, it truly could be the end of Bungie, or at the very least, the leadership needs to go. Just like Halo. Would not surprise me at all if Sony takes full control of Bungie. Sony could dilute and get rid of Bungie completely. Sony could close Bungie as a studio, lay off a majority of the employees, and move the remaining ones to different studios. It's all
Yeah? Yeah? He knows. Well, anyway, that was Mint Blitz. Bungie is a horrible company. Kind of everyone knew it anyway.